The Zanari Council convened in their obsidian spire, their voices low but filled with disdain. To them, humanity was a curiosity, a fledgling species clinging to a forgotten backwater planet, too primitive and weak to matter on the galactic stage. Their emissary's broadcast was blunt and humiliating. Earth is a relic unworthy of interstellar respect. Submit or be eradicated. The message rippled across Terran space, igniting anger and disbelief. On Earth, leaders gathered to hear the message, their faces hardening with resolve. Humanity had faced extinction before. This was simply another insult to overcome. The response was swift and unequivocal. They would prove the aliens wrong. The initial days after the broadcast were a whirlwind of activity. Shipyards surged into overdrive, retrofitting aged vessels with scavenged alien tech and salvaged weaponry. Scientists unlocked dormant Earth technologies, pushing the limits of energy generation and propulsion. Citizen militias trained in every city, each soldier fueled by the sting of alien scorn. Across the colonies, people whispered of revenge and redemption. They did not want just survival. They sought respect. To the galaxy, Earth was weak. To humanity, that was a challenge. The war to prove the galaxy wrong had begun. The Zanari underestimated humanity's tenacity. Their spies reported increasing activity on Earth's surface, new weapons, experimental armor, fleets being assembled in secret. To the Zanari, this was foolishness, a waste of resources on a species, doomed to failure. But on Earth, every act of preparation was a declaration of defiance. The Terran people remembered ancient wars, nuclear winters, and the collapse of civilizations, history that had forged unbreakable spirits. Leaders crafted strategies that combined Earth's brutal history with alien technology, creating hybrid tactics unseen before. The galaxy's mocking laughter only fueled their resolve. Back on the Zanari homeworld, council members debated their approach. Some urged swift annihilation to prevent humanity from growing stronger. Others cautioned patience. Supreme Commander Veiltor, a veteran of countless campaigns, saw something dangerous in humanity's stubbornness. They were not like the other species, too adaptable, too willing to fight to the last breath. His warnings went unheeded. The Council decided to continue the campaign with measured force, confident they could extinguish Earth's resistance before it blossomed. But the war was no longer about numbers or tech. It was about spirit. On the front lines, Terran commanders prepared their fleets. Veteran captains shared tales of Earth's dark past, reminding their crews that humanity's greatest weapon was its refusal to surrender. As Zarali ships entered Terran space, the first skirmishes erupted. Small fleets of Terran fighters darted through asteroid fields, striking with precision and disappearing before counterattacks could be launched. The galaxy watched in shock as the so-called weaklings fought with a ferocity that no one expected. Humanity's fight for respect had begun in earnest. Terran shipyards burned through metal and plasma as the fleet swelled beyond all expectations. What had started as a few corvettes quickly grew into squadrons of destroyers, frigates, and experimental vessels armed with technology scavenged from fallen foes. Engineers worked day and night, infusing old Earth designs with alien innovation. On battle stations, human pilots drilled endlessly, mastering maneuvers that blurred the line between instinct and calculation. Meanwhile, the Zarali continued, their condescending broadcasts, warning of humanity's inevitable collapse. But each broadcast was met with renewed determination. Their taunts only fanned the fires of rebellion. In the outer systems, the first real clashes tested humanity's newfound strength. A Zarali fleet, confident in its superiority, engaged a Terran convoy escort near the Ryloth asteroid belt. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Starships twisted through dense asteroid fields, weapons lighting the void with bursts of searing energy. Terran fighters, smaller and more agile, exploited the terrain expertly, striking Zerali ships' weak points with precision. Zerali capital ships found themselves outmaneuvered, their crews shocked by the unexpected ferocity of their opponents. The battle ended with the Zerali retreating in disarray, their arrogance fractured by a species they had dismissed as weak. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread like wildfire. Celebrations erupted in cities and spaceports, but leaders reminded citizens that this was only the beginning. Intelligence reports revealed the Zerali preparing larger fleets, determined to crush the rebellion once and for all. Yet, for the first time in generations, humanity was not cowering behind its walls, but standing tall in the galaxy's harsh spotlight. Propaganda shifted from desperate calls for survival to stirring messages of pride and strength. Artists painted murals of Terran heroes. Children learned of battles in school, and the phrase, "We are not weak," became a universal mantra. Supreme Commander Vieltor found his grip slipping. The Zerali Council's dismissal of humanity as a minor threat was unraveling. He ordered a shift in tactics. No longer should they face humans in open battle where their numerical and technological advantages waned. Instead, Vieltor commanded relentless strikes on Terran supply lines, sabotage operations, and psychological warfare to fracture morale. Yet each strike was met with fierce retaliation and ingenious countermeasures. Humans were adapting faster than predicted, using every setback as a lesson. In the darkness of space, a new kind of war was raging, one that relied as much on heart as it did on firepower. Meanwhile, amidst the chaos, bonds between Terran soldiers and their alien allies deepened. Mercenaries, former prisoners, and outcasts from other species rallied under humanity's banner, inspired by their refusal to bow. Together, they forged a coalition not born of convenience, but of shared defiance. This unity made the Terran cause stronger and more unpredictable. The Zerali had declared humanity weak, but in doing so, they awakened a storm the galaxy had never seen. The war was no longer confined to known space. Terran and Zerali forces clashed on the fringes of uncharted star systems, where ancient ruins and forgotten technologies offered new opportunities and dangers. Here, human scientists uncovered relics of a vanished civilization, weapons and devices beyond comprehension, fueling desperate innovation. At the same time, Zerali assassins stalked the shadows, attempting to disrupt Terran operations and steal secrets. But humanity's counterintelligence was relentless. Codebreakers decrypted encrypted transmissions, and hunters tracked enemies through the void's darkness. On board the Valiant, flagship of the Terran fleet, Captain Mira Solis stood at the command deck, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. Reports of a Zerali ambush in the Lysar system forced her to make a critical decision: engage or evade. Choosing engagement, she ordered her fleet into formation, capitalizing on the system's asteroid belt for cover. The battle that followed was a testament to human ingenuity and courage. Fighters flitted between giant space rocks, laser fire weaving intricate patterns. The Zerali suffered heavy losses, their formations shattered by unpredictable strikes. Meanwhile, back on Earth, political tensions simmered. Not all were convinced humanity should press on with war. Some factions feared the cost was too high, that surrender might yet preserve what remained of civilization. Protests erupted in some cities, demanding peace talks with the Zerali. But the vast majority stood united behind the soldiers fighting far from home. Leaders quelled dissent with speeches reminding citizens of humanity's history of overcoming impossible odds. They stressed that weakness had never been humanity's fate. The war was as much about identity as survival. In the Zerali hierarchy, frustration grew. Some High Council members argued for total annihilation, others for strategic withdrawal and diplomacy. Vaeltor remained steadfast in his campaign, convinced that only relentless pressure could break humanity's will. But as reports of Zerali losses mounted and defections increased, cracks appeared within the Dominion's ranks. The Zerali faced not just an external enemy, but internal strife threatening to unravel their empire. Humanity's defiance was more than a challenge. It was a catalyst for change. As the war dragged into its third year, human colonies on the galactic frontier ignited with rebellion. Subjugated species under Zerali control saw in humanity a spark of hope, a refusal to accept tyranny. Coordinated uprisings erupted, synchronized strikes on Zerali garrisons that destabilized entire regions. Terran forces supplied weapons, training, and leadership to these insurgents, turning the tide beyond their own battles. The Zerali Dominion found itself besieged from within, its empire crumbling like a house of cards under a relentless storm. Human soldiers shared stories of hardship and victory, binding their ranks with camaraderie born in fire. Among the tales was that of Sergeant Rena Tile, a decorated veteran whose bravery during the siege of Varun Prime became legend. Against impossible odds, she led a squad to hold a critical supply depot, buying time for reinforcements to arrive. Her story was broadcast across Terran worlds, inspiring millions. She embodied the very spirit the Zerali despised, fierce, unyielding, and proud. For humanity, these stories were fuel, proof that weakness was a lie. In secret, Terran scientists made a breakthrough, harnessing a form of quantum entanglement communication that allowed instantaneous fleet coordination across vast distances. This innovation neutralized one of the Zerali's greatest advantages, superior coordination and strategy. With this edge, Terran commanders orchestrated synchronized strikes that devastated Zerali supply chains and communication hubs. The war became a chess game where humanity anticipated every move. The Zerali could no longer rely on sheer force, alone. Despite the growing strength of the Terran alliance, the cost of war weighed heavily. Entire cities on Earth endured blackout drills and rationing. Families mourned fallen heroes, but the resolve never faltered. For every loss, humanity found new strength. The Zerali might have declared them weak, but Earth had already proven otherwise. The war was a crucible that forged a new era, a testament to what could be achieved when a people refused to be broken. With the Zerali Empire fractured by rebellion and war, humanity launched a daring offensive, Operation Phoenix. It was a massive coordinated assault aimed at the Zerali capital world, Jaren. The planet was a fortress, shielded by layers of orbital defenses and guarded by elite forces. But the Terran fleet, bolstered by alien allies and enhanced by their latest technology, was ready. Fighters darted through the planetary rings, bombers targeted shield generators, and ground troops prepared for the most crucial battle yet. The galaxy held its breath. The battle raged for weeks, a brutal test of endurance and strategy. Zerali commanders threw everything into the defense, deploying bioengineered monstrosities and devastating energy weapons. Yet the Terran assault pressed on, adapting quickly to every threat. Battleships fought in close quarters, where Terran agility outmatched Zerali firepower. On the surface, soldiers engaged in fierce urban combat, turning ruined cities into battlegrounds. Every victory was hard-won, every step forward a testament to humanity's unyielding will. Inside the Zerali Command Center, Supreme Commander Vaeltor faced his darkest hour. His empire unraveling, he refused to surrender, vowing to die with his people. His final orders were desperate, calling for scorched earth tactics and ruthless reprisals. Yet, even as the capital world burned, his forces faltered under the combined pressure of Terran and rebel insurgents. The empire that once sneered at humanity's weakness was collapsing beneath the weight of defiance it had sparked. Back on Earth, celebrations mingled with solemn remembrance. The fall of Jaren was a turning point, a sign that no empire was invincible. Leaders spoke of rebuilding and peace, but warned vigilance was essential. Humanity's journey had only begun. The war had revealed their strength and resilience, but also their capacity for destruction. It was a lesson the galaxy would never forget. Never judge a species by their origins. In the aftermath of the capital's fall, the Zerali Dominion descended into chaos. Power struggles erupted among surviving factions, with warlords vying for control. Some sought to negotiate with humanity, others plotted revenge. Amid this turmoil, a dangerous faction known as the Black Suns emerged, a group of Zerali extremists, bent on total destruction of the Terran species. They launched covert operations, sabotage, and assassinations aimed at destabilizing the fragile peace. Terran intelligence scrambled to identify and neutralize these threats. Espionage became a critical front of the war, with double agents, sleeper cells, and hackers playing deadly games. Captain Mira Solis led a daring mission to infiltrate a Black Sun's stronghold on the moon Arvek. The operation uncovered plans to unleash a bioweapon targeting Terran colonies. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Terran alliance, forcing them to ramp up defenses and countermeasures. The war was far from over, yet even in darkness, humanity's alliances held firm. Alien allies provided crucial support, sharing intelligence and technology. The coalition of free worlds, inspired by humanity's courage, pledged to stand against the Black Sun's terror. The bonds forged in war became the foundation for a lasting peace. But trust was fragile. Old wounds and prejudices lingered beneath the surface, threatening to unravel the hard-won unity. On Earth, citizens balanced hope with vigilance. Memorials honored the fallen, while children learned the cost of freedom. Leaders cautioned that the victory was incomplete, that shadows still lurked. The phrase, "we proved them wrong," took on new meaning, not just as triumph, but as a commitment to guard against future threats. Humanity was no longer weak, but it remained wary. With the Zerali threat diminished, the Terran Alliance spearheaded the creation of the Coalition of Free Worlds, a confederation of planets united against tyranny and oppression. This alliance was unprecedented, bringing together diverse species and cultures under a common banner of liberty. Diplomats negotiated treaties, scientists shared technology, and military leaders coordinated joint defense efforts. The galaxy began to shift from a place of fear and domination to one of cooperation and hope. Yet challenges persisted. The scars of war ran deep, and old rivalries threatened peace. Some systems resented Terran influence, while others sought to exploit the new order for power. The coalition faced sabotage, espionage, and political intrigue. Terran diplomats, including the brilliant ambassador Lyra Kess, navigated these treacherous waters with skill and determination. They understood that peace was as fragile as war was brutal. Meanwhile, the Terran military transformed from a war machine into a guardian force. Soldiers trained in peacekeeping and humanitarian missions, helping rebuild devastated worlds and protect vulnerable colonies. Veterans became teachers, passing on lessons of resilience and unity. Humanity's message was clear. Strength was not just in arms, but in the willingness to stand together. The legacy of humanity's defiance inspired countless worlds. Stories of the Terran struggle spread like wildfire, fueling new movements against oppression. The phrase, "aliens declared us weak, we proved them wrong," became a rallying cry across star systems, a symbol of hope and strength. Humanity had not only survived, they had reshaped the galaxy. Just as the galaxy began to heal, rumors surfaced of a new, darker threat lurking beyond known space. Whispers spoke of a forgotten alien race, the Virn, whose technology and cruelty surpassed even the Zerali. Explorers who ventured near the Virn border vanished without trace. Fear grew that the galaxy's fragile peace would soon be shattered. again. The coalition prepared for the unknown, strengthening defenses and sending reconnaissance missions into the void. Captain Mira Solis was tasked with leading one such mission aboard the Valiant. Her crew ventured into unexplored systems, uncovering evidence of Verne activity, massive warships, bioengineered monstrosities, and sinister propaganda broadcasts. The Verne seemed bent on conquest and destruction, their motives inscrutable. The tension among coalition members heightened as debates erupted over how to respond. Should they strike first or wait for provocation? Back on Earth, leaders grappled with the possibility of another galactic war. Memories of recent conflicts weighed heavily. Yet, humanity remained steadfast. Their journey from weakness to strength had taught them resilience and unity. The president addressed the people, reaffirming their commitment to peace, but warning that vigilance was vital. Humanity's spirit would not falter, no matter the darkness ahead. The Verne's emergence marked a new chapter. The galaxy braced itself, knowing that survival once again depended on courage, alliances, and the refusal to accept defeat. The legacy of defiance burned brighter than ever. The coalition faced its greatest test as divisions threatened to unravel their fragile alliance. Some member worlds advocated for immediate, aggressive action against the Verne, while others favored diplomacy and caution. Old prejudices resurfaced, mistrust simmered, and political factions clashed. Sabotage and espionage increased, fueled by fear and uncertainty. Ambassador Lyra Kess worked tirelessly to mediate disputes, reminding allies of their shared history and common goals. Amidst this turmoil, Terran and alien soldiers fought side by side in skirmishes against Verne scouts. These battles were brutal, testing the limits of training and technology. Captain Solis's leadership became legendary as she orchestrated daring raids that disrupted Verne's supply lines. Her crew embodied the very essence of the coalition, diverse, determined, and united. These victories, though small, rekindled hope and strengthened bonds. On Earth, citizens watched anxiously as news from the front lines arrived. Public support for the coalition wavered, but did not break. Leaders balanced transparency with reassurance, sharing stories of heroism and sacrifice. The phrase, "we proved them wrong," took on new urgency, a reminder that humanity's fight was ongoing. Schools taught the value of unity and resilience, preparing the next generation for challenges ahead. As tensions peaked, a breakthrough emerged. A Verne defector offered intelligence that could change the course of the conflict. The coalition seized the opportunity, launching a coordinated campaign that caught the Verne off guard. The galaxy breathed a tentative sigh of relief, but everyone knew the road to lasting peace would be long and fraught with trials. Years after, the Zerali declared humanity weak. The galaxy was transformed. The Terran Alliance and the Coalition of Free Worlds stood as pillars of strength and hope. Former enemies became allies, and the memory of past wars shaped policies that prioritized peace and justice. Humanity's journey from a dismissed species to a galactic leader became legend, inspiring countless generations. On Earth, monuments honored those who had fought and fallen. Children learned of the defiance that shaped their destiny. Scientists, artists, and explorers pushed boundaries, seeking new frontiers. The spirit that refused to bow became the foundation of a new era, where strength was measured not just in power, but in unity and courage. Yet the galaxy remained vigilant. Shadows lurked beyond the stars, and new challenges would arise. But humanity's story was a testament to what could be achieved when a people refused to be broken. They had been declared weak, but they had proven the universe wrong, and in that defiance they found their true strength.